This video is going to be a road trip from Boston Logan International Airport to Pittsfield, Massachusetts. Hi Josie Farm, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to have you back. So it took us about 2 hours 33 minutes to get to Pittsfield, and so whilst we are on this trip, I'm going to be sharing with you the many differences between the transportation systems in the UK and the US. So when it comes to public transport differences, in the UK, the public transport is more commonly used than in the US. In Western Europe, public transport accounts for 10 to 20% of urban trips, while in the US it's only 2%. So you can see that clearly the UK uses more public transport than the US. So it's very difficult to move around in the US if you don't have your own car. So the second I'm going to talk about is train travel. So in the UK, trains are a common and relatively inexpensive way to get around. In the US, however, trains are typically longer and wider to accommodate more freight. So I personally love the transportation system in the UK, and especially when it comes to the trains, it's very effective, efficient, and easier to move around with. When it comes to driving habits, in the US, driving long distances is considered normal, while in the UK, even a short drive can be exhausting. So one thing I realized when it comes to those who live in America is that when they tell you this is going to be a short ride, you are looking about an hour to a 2-hour drive, and they see it as a normal short distance ride. And so compared to the UK, I mean, the UK has efficient bus and train travel, though it takes longer to take the bus and the train sometimes compared to if you are driving in the UK. But then there are some other issues that makes driving in the UK more difficult and exhausting even if it's a short drive. So if you live in the UK, you can leave in the comment section what you think makes driving in the UK exhausting. And so yeah, if you are in the US too, let us know why driving 2 hours minimum is normal for you. So we got to the US around 6:40 p.m. and it wasn't so dark, but on our way back to Pittsfield, it got dark, so you might not see much. However, I'm going to continue with the differences when it comes to travel or transportation between the UK and the US. When it comes to international travel, traveling from the UK to other parts of Europe can be inexpensive, while traveling from the US to other countries is more expensive. Guys, this is so true. Traveling within the European continent is inexpensive, but then moving from America and even from Africa to other parts of the world is very expensive. So we stopped by this local restaurant called Dale's, and Just love their meals, and it looks very nice and very refreshing to see a restaurant that serves local meals, guys. So we are back on the road, and the fifth difference I'd like to talk about is the public transport cost. So in the UK, a one-way ticket on a local transport costs around £2.40, and a monthly pass costs around £60. Whilst in the US, traveling by Greyhound from Boston to, let's say, Pittsfield can cost you more than $80 per travel, and so it's relatively cheaper traveling by public transport in the UK than in the US. So let me be quick to add public transport deregulation. And so in the UK, public transport is deregulated outside of London. In the US, most bus routes are subsidized by the government or transit agency. So guys, this was our second stop to use the restroom, and so it was a short stop, and I'm going to continue by explaining what transport or public transport deregulation is. And it is the process of reducing or removing government restrictions on public transportation to increase competition and improve business operations. And this can include price liberalization, subsidy reduction, and privatization. And so some goals of public transport deregulation include attracting new operators with new ideas, reducing costs per vehicle mile. So in the US, deregulation of transportation gave private companies the freedom to choose which markets to serve, what level of service to provide, and also to set prices. Whilst in the UK, London buses were exempt from total deregulation and are instead operated by private companies under contract with Transport of London. Some say that deregulation led to a decline in bus services outside of London. Others say that deregulation made it harder for mayors to improve bus services. So if you live in the US or in the UK, what are your thoughts on public transport deregulation, and how do you think it has affected the transport system in both the US and the UK? So guys, this was our last stop. We stopped by this shop to get some drinks. And so if you have come this far in this video, please don't forget to like, comment, engage with my content, and also subscribe. I'd love to have you join the Josie family. That's it for this video. Thanks so much for watching. See you in the next one. Bye fam.